Benvenuti alla casa italiana zerilli-marimò. Thank you for braving the cold and the post-blizzard conditions that we all endure. Stay solid on your feet. Never lose the grip. Try to balance yourself. Now we saw the Winter Olympics, so we have an idea of how you ice skate, right, more or less. That saved me this morning 3 times in Washington Square from slipping and falling. We have a great program for you tonight, and this is exactly the kind of event I like to do. It's going to be a concert, but it's also going to be a concert in which we're going to learn things on top of the music that we're going to hear about a great Italian composer that is not adequately recognized and celebrated and studied as he should. And to do this, we have the world expert on Ottorino Respighi, il maestro Francesco Attardi. Prego, prego. Sì, sì, prego, prego. I'm going to leave to Roberto the honor and the pleasure to introduce him directly, because I thought Roberto Scarcella-Perino, as you know, is our composer in residence and a faculty member in this department, and I thought it was a courtesy to have a musician to introduce properly another musician. But I like the formula that Maestro Attardi has prepared for us tonight. It's going to be piano, voice, and singing voice, and then there are going to be 2 narrating voices that are going to read passages. And this is really the kind of experience that I like to do, because it's fulfilling from a spiritual and emotional point of view. We're going to hear beautiful music. By the way, the second piece we're going to hear is entitled La Nevicata, right? Did you know it, Maestro, that we would have these 2 blizzards in 2 weeks?
Next time we cut
And we do something primavera. And so this idea of combining spoken words, sang word, and music, it's really the formula that I really like. And I told you that Maestro Attardi is really the world expert on Respighi, and this is his book that he dedicated to Ottorino Respighi, more than 1,000 pages, very, very deeply researched, lots of footnotes, lots of documents, and music analysis. So it's a biography of an author, as only a musician can write. And the title, as you see, is Un iceberg sinfonico, a symphonic iceberg. I believe it has to do with the fact that icebergs only show about 1/10 of their entire mass above the surface of the water. But we're going to hear that from Maestro Attardi. And now, please welcome Roberto Scarcella-Perino to introduce Francesco Attardi.
Grazie Stefano. It's an honor for me to present Francesco Attardi, not only because he's an amazing conductor, but also because he was born in Messina, that is my city, and then of course he studied in Milan, and he was conducting many orchestras, not only in the US but also in North Europe and in Italy, of course. The fact that he's not only a conductor and also a pianist, he's also a musicologist. This is the reason why we are here to learn, and I'm really curious to see what is the product of his research of Ottorino Respighi. Of course, there are lots of works that we musicians, we don't know about Ottorino Respighi. He's famous for Le Fontane di Roma, for I Pini di Roma, for his symphonic works. But of course, he wrote opera, chamber music, and a lot of pieces that we are here to learn about him tonight. So I welcome, of course, Francesco Attardi here to, for his lecture about Respighi, and then, of course, we are going to have music performed after the lecture. Thank you.
Ottorino Respighi and his American career, because is not very known that Respighi composed many works and 1 opera for America, and New York was with the New York Philharmonic was an orchestra always enthusiastic to receive a play for the first time in the premiere of some compositions. and I am honored to speak today at the Casa Italiana di New York University. This institution is a vital guardian of Italian culture, and I am sincerely grateful for the extraordinary spirit of collaboration I have found here, the president, Roberto, Julian particularly. Our focus today is the fascination American career of Ottorino Respighi. It is particularly meaningful to discuss his legacy in this city, as Respighi composed several major works for American orchestras and specifically for New York. These pieces all received their world premiere at Carnegie Hall, performed by the New York Philharmonic with great conductors. Many great conductors loved the orchestration, the music of Ottorino. Among these, there is Otto Klemperer, the great, one of the most important conductors of the last century. Wilhelm Mengelberg and Arturo Toscanini, all fans of Respighi, and as well Koussewitzky was very important, with the Boston Symphony, invited many times. Respighi composed 3 fundamental symphony works for Koussewitzky. Koussewitzky was the maestro of Leonard Bernstein. While Italian music is celebrated worldwide for its operatic masterpiece, opera, there is, in fact, a rich and significant tradition of instrumental music. This legacy was first set in motion by the genius of masters such as Corelli, Vivaldi, Benedetto Marcello, and then Scarlatti, Boccherini, Viotti, Muzio Clementi, virtuoso, the father of the piano, the modern piano, Niccolò Paganini, Giovanni Bottesini. In the second part of the 19th century, Italy experienced a powerful resurgence in symphonic and instrumental production thanks to Giovanni Sgambati and Giuseppe Martucci. Giovanni Sgambati is this, and Giuseppe Martucci. And this is a record of mine with the second symphony of Sgambati. I reconstructed and published the Conductor, this symphony, a very beautiful symphony, together the Concerto per pianoforte orchestra of Sgambati. Sgambati was the best pupil, the best student of Franz Liszt, a great virtuoso also. Featured here is my recording of Sgambati, and then after Sgambati there is Giuseppe Martucci. Giuseppe Martucci is important, was Neapolitan for school, and was the teacher of Ottorino Respighi. But Respighi, this is Respighi, when he was 21 in St. Petersburg, because Ottorino Respighi was a talented violinist and a virtuoso of viola. And then at the Imperial Theater of St. Petersburg was the first viola in the season of Italian opera. It stays a couple years there, and then the fortune was to meet the great maestro Nikolai Rimsky-Korsakov. This connection was forged during a period when Respighi served in the Imperial Theater in St. Petersburg. Yes. This photograph at the age of 21 in Russian is taken from the book I recently co-authored with my student Lorenzo Casati. Lorenzo is a good composer. Our research covers Respighi's entire symphonic output, a staggering 40 compositions, 40 compositions, so only a handful, such as the famous Roman trilogy, are performed today. Italian critics have no championed Italy's greatest symphonist, is the great symphonist in Italy, Respighi, as he deserved. This lack of promotion has unfortunately limited the public's awareness of his vast repertoire. This is precisely why we titled our book Ottorino Respighi, a Symphonic Iceberg. What we know of his work today is merely the visible peak of a massive submerged mountain of music. But some friends told me that the name iceberg was dangerous. Dangerous because it might remind you of the Titanic. La Sinfonia Drammatica, yes, one of the most important composition for me, complex, is la Sinfonia Dramatic Symphony. One of his lesser-known masterpiece, the Sinfonia Drammatica, written in 1914. This work seems to foretell the catastrophe of the Great War and reveals a side of Respighi quite different from the one we know through his Roman poems. Roman poems are very happy. This is a very tragic, dramatic, with an extraordinary orchestration. Of the war, First War. In reality, Respighi possessed a pessimistic temperament and suffered from severe bouts of depression. He held a tragic view of existence and remained a confirmed bachelor for much of his life. Because of his intense tragic power, one might think this symphony was written by Gustav Mahler. Very tragic. I think to the Sixth Symphony, but in the Sixth Symphony, all the movement are march, Habsburgic march, Austrian march. Yet at the time, Mahler's work was completely unknown in Italy in 1914. This lack of context is like why such a profound work was so misunderstood by his contemporaries. It's not performed, this symphony. It's a masterpiece. I studied the complexity of the orchestration, the polyphonia, molto complessa, molto bella e drammatica. In 1915, Respighi's composition class at the Santa Cecilia Conservatory, he was a teacher there in Rome, included a remarkable student named Elsa Olivieri San Giacomo. 15 years his junior, Elsa was a brilliant musician and singer of Roman birth, but her mother was of Mexican heritage. She was an exceptional woman. When I was young, I visited Elsa. It was extraordinary. She was very old, but extraordinary woman. She was a composer because she studied with Ottorino. Elsa was a brilliant musician and singer also of Roman birth. Yes. She was an exceptional woman who transformed completely his life. In a moment of deep despair for Ottorino, Elsa wrote him a letter that concluded with a profound promise. I will make your life as beautiful as a dream. This newfound inspiration led him to compose his first great symphonic poem in 1916, 2 years ago, later than Drammatica, Sinfonia Drammatica, in the midst of the Great War, The Fountains of Rome, the first poem. This masterpiece of Italian Impressionism captures the essence of 4 iconic Roman fountains. The resounding triton are 4 fountains, and now we listen the second fountain, triton, and the third, that is the famous Fontana di Trevi. After the quiet of the morning, 4 horns suddenly awaken the world. This is the god Triton, son of Neptune, blowing into his conch shell. Sculpted by Bernini in 1643, this famous work in Piazza Barberini was known from its inception as the fountain of the resounding triton, because of the unique sound of its water jet. In Respighi's score, that sound truly resounds. The initial call of the horns give way to a brilliant shimmering roar played by the piccolo, piano, violins, and celesta. And then from the bass of the orchestra begins a climax. Fontana di Trevi, that's famous. This is an homage with the Orchestra of Messina to my friend Roberto. The global success of the fountains, followed closely by the Pines of Rome, paved the way for a brilliant international career, with the United States becoming its primary destination. The encounter between Respighi and America was undoubtedly a harmonious and successful one. The leading American conductors of the era held him in the highest regard. As a result, the finest orchestras in the world were at his disposal. The true great career of Respighi began in America and then in all the world. The many compositions for American orchestra, ancient dances and airs for lute, second suite. The first was written in Italy for an orchestra, Italian orchestra. The conductor was Fritz Reiner. Fritz Reiner was a great conductor, also maestro of Lenny Bernstein. And then the second commission is a concerto for piano and orchestra in the mixolydian mode, with the New York Philharmonic, Carnegie Hall, 31st December 1925. Original theme, Gregorian theme, Kyrie. This Kyrie, this is an original Kyrie. Memorize, please. La 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 la. Okay, now Respighi in Rome knew about the George Gershwin Rhapsody in Blue. He bought the record. I have the photo of this record in 1924. And was rimasto molto esaltato, exciting. Was exciting this Rhapsody in Blue, very modern. Rhapsody in Blue was performed in the February 1924 at the Aeolian Hall. Now it was close to Carnegie Hall, but the Aeolian Hall was destroyed. Scusate, parlo un attimo in italiano. In questo modo, in questa Rhapsody in Blue, c'è una scala scala di 7 suoni, 7 sounds, but the scala maggiore, this is the tonality, our tonality. This was in for Mixolydian Gregorian mode. It's non semitono, non tono, non semitono. Yes, and then Respighi created a concerto with this Kyrie original, this original Kyrie, but in a new syncopated rhythm in rhythm jazz. It was a connection between the old Gregorian chant and the modern style of Paul Whiteman. Paul Whiteman was a conductor. This is the Kyrie, the theme. The last movement of Concerto Misolidio. Variation on this Kyrie. in jazz style. Variations. Like a film western. There is an intuition. Yeah. The cavalry arrive. Yeah. And then another beautiful variation. The theme. This is a Gregorian theme. Kyrie. Very fascinating. Listen now, and there is a quote of Gershwin. Yes, mixolinea with the settimo grado abbassato. Yeah, cello is the Kyrie. An encounter with Respighi and Gershwin. It's a masterpiece, it is. And then there is the conclusion. Beautiful. This, yeah. Respighi played many instruments. Was incredible. The arpa, violin, viola, was a virtuoso. And this concert was played in Carnegie Hall by Respighi. Was incredible. Now, Trittico Botticelliano. Ottorino Respighi was a scholar of the past as much as a man of the future. He was devoted to early music and the masterpieces of Italian pictorial art. His 1927 work, the Botticelli Triptych, represents a deliberate, a brilliant attempt to recreate the clarity of vivacity of the Renaissance through a modern musical language. In the score, Respighi evokes the spirit of the 16th century using the sophisticated technique of the 20th. This work was a tribute to the American patron of, or patroness of music, Elizabeth Sprague Coolidge, which sponsored this operation of the Trittico. The inspiration struck Respighi during a visit to Washington, D.C., where he explored the Library of Congress and the National Gallery of Art, where he had the opportunity to see Botticelli's splendid Adoration of the Magi. Sorry. Yes, that's it. In the center. It's a Renaissance dance. A little orchestra, chamber orchestra, the result is incredible varietà of tempo. The last piece is another concerto for piano concerto, the Toccata, the name Toccata of 1928, pianist Respighi at the Carnegie Hall. We have a beautiful. Ecco, this Toccata for piano is fantastic. Toccata is a Baroque style, a Baroque form, but the style is ancient and modern, a mix between ancient and modern, because there is a dramaticity, modern dramaticity. This is a moment of serenity with the fantastic oboe, the solo of oboe, and then flute, and Morricone was fascinated by this toccata. Parlo un attimo in italiano. Ha scritto il Gabriel's Oboe, del famoso, no? E questo Gabriel's Oboe is very famous, but the sound, the melody ricorda questa, remember this toccata for piano and orchestra di Respighi. This is the second tempo. Adagio, oboe. a cembalo or fortepiano. Because a baroque form. This concert is fantastic. Yes, it's unknown completely. No repertoire, not in repertoire. Incredible. While Respighi never explicitly composed for the screen, he was nonetheless an ideal master for generation of film composers who followed Feste Romane, the Roman trilogia was very important for the soundtrackers, American soundtrackers. His work has been meticulously studied by the giants of the Hollywood soundtrack, including Miklos Rozsa, whose score for William Wyler's Ben-Hur bears his influence, as well as Max Steiner, Alex Nord, Lalo Schifrin, Mission Impossible, and Maurice Jarre, the composer of Lawrence of Arabia. Even the legendary John Williams stands as an heir to Respighi's legacy, and also Morricone. This composer looked to him not only for his prodigious mastery of orchestration, but also for his uncanny ability to forge an inseparable connection between sound and image. Through them, the Symphonic Iceberg, my Symphonic Iceberg of Respighi's music continues to resonate in the dark of the cinema, reaching audience across the globe just as he always intended. Okay. Now there is a concert with Elisa and two singer. Puoi annunciare tu?
Sì, sì.
Yeah, okay. Grazie a te. Poi è finito.
Stia pure sul palco, maestro.
Sì, maestro, sì, così. Grazie Francesco. Un applauso. So the second part of this lecture is going to be music on stage, and we are going to have together, like with Elisa De Luigi at the piano, that we said before that is actually from Mantua, that is the city of our director Stefano Albertini. We are going to have on stage first, the first part is going to be so the Nevicata, quando nasce some songs, arias that Respighi played, and they are going to be sung by Shelén Hughes Camacho, who is a Bolivian singer here in America. Amazing voice. She just sang my opera yesterday, so like not yesterday, but a few days ago. And she's an amazing soprano who, of course, is singing Puccini and also all the bel canto aria. And then the second part is going to be a winner also many prizes, because I am friends with her on Instagram and every day I see that she wins something. So I'm not going to make the list of all the prizes that she wins. And then the second part is going to be with Domenic Salerni, an amazing violinist who is actually playing with the Attacca Quartet, an amazing quartet that is winning also, already won like 2 Grammys, I think. So we are like a really amazing musician that they are going to play tonight. So I invite now Shelén on stage, and thank you.
Giangola neve ca Thank
They're husband and wife. Maestro, accomodati lì, guarda. But thank you first of all, for bringing us this fantastic music, because the most important thing is that he was an extraordinary musician, and his music is passionate and yes.
I think the first is Puccini, and the second, in 19th century, in 20th century, the most important composer in opera was Puccini, I think, no? Puccini, and but the most in global, the most important with the symphony music, cameristic music, chamber music, and operas. Yes, La Fiamma, many operas. I think is the best, the first composer in Italy in 20th century.
May I say also, Maestro, permetta, to me also the last one that I understand. Because whatever comes after, I struggle. Roberto knows it, Eugenio. I love every kind of music, but I have really some problem understanding atonal music, dodecaphonic music. This is a music I can still relate to. So to me, he's also the last composer that speaks a language that talks to me. But that's very personal.
Yeah.
Yes, we have a question.
I do not know this name.
The microphone. On its way.
Mi
It
aiuti.
was most
Mi aiuti.
enjoyable. I guess the very basic question is, why don't we know his music and why isn't it performed?
La domanda è perché non conosciamo la sua musica e perché non
Yes, there is, I think in Italy there was a critic very molto hostile, I don't know. He was no fascist because people, yes, people no, dice, Respighi was the Pines of Rome is a celebrity of the fascism, celebration of the fascism. No, absolutely. What is it? It was the only great composer, a great artist that never ha preso la tessera del partito.
That never took the card of the fascist party, so he was never a member
never.
of the party. It was hard because if you didn't have that card, you didn't have any job with the public administration.
Yeah.
And any other commission would be very hard to come by.
His best friend was Claudio Guastalla, a Jewish, was the librettist, but Respighi died in 1936. He didn't see the disaster of Italy, the racial law, etc. Yes. And
So it's not a political...
no,
okay.
not political. Lui not political. Completely. When I was young, I visited Elisa Respighi. She said to me, Respighi died at al giusto momento, at the right moment, because later was a disaster. Yeah.
Could it have, and again, I'm very ignorant of these milieu, especially for music. I know a few things that I captured here and there. Looking at the documentary on Ennio Morricone, Ennio, by Tornatore, the Oscar-winning director, it's all about his struggle to propose his music in a context in which the academia of the time, the conservatory, were dominated by a very different kind of music. I don't remember the name of his teacher at the Conservatorio. Petrassi. So, could it have to do with the fact that that was very different from this? Morricone struggled because he didn't want to have any melody in his, and his wife would tell him, "Your music is full of melodies."
He was a melodist, incredible
Yes.
melodist, and then he suffered because it was, I think, a classism in the class of, yes, because he was a poor man, his father, I don't know.
He ended up being, for at least 3 years, Ennio Morricone, the famous composer of film music. For 3 years, he was the richest man in Rome from the tax records. So he was very successful. But that attracted even more the envy of the sort of contemporary music establishment that were proposing a very different kind of music, and they would say, your music is facile, it's too easy, it's old-fashioned. So I was wondering, while I was listening to this beautiful music, could it be that the trend at the time went in a different direction from what Respighi was doing?
Assolutamente. Una volta Respighi suonava al pianoforte la sua sonata con un grande violinista, adesso non ricordo quale, lui suonava, Adolf Busch, e lui suonava il pianoforte e c'era un signore a Berlino, un signore nel 1927 che coi capelli bianchi che girava la pagina. Lui, Respighi, era molto molto preso dalla difficoltà della sua musica e alla fine lui si gira, grazie, e dice, ma lei è Albert Einstein.
So in Berlin, Respighi was playing a sonata at the piano of his own music with violinist Alfred Busch.
Sì, Alfred Busch.
And the page turner was this man with big hair, or white hair, and Respighi didn't pay any attention while he was playing. And then at the end, he thanked his page turner, and he recognized Albert Einstein as his page turner in this concert.
There are many anecdotes of Elsa. I'm writing this. I'm finished now. Yes. Now we are going to Scottsdale. We have a little house, very nice, and I complete my book on Elsa Respighi.
So your books are also written partly.
Yes.
Prego.
Buonasera, benvenuti. So I'm pretty ignorant about Respighi. I'm so happy that today I learned something more. I just knew he was a composer. But now these beautiful pieces that this wonderful teacher sang, where are they from? Nevicata, Quando nasceste voi, I see from Quattro rispetti toscani, and then Nebbie. Are they from operas?
No, è chamber music. Raccolte. Collection of
songs.
This in German is lead and leader. Noi diciamo romanza o lirica.
Yes.
There is a beautiful tradition of lyrica da camera, and then Respighi, I think, is the best, no?
In the 20th century, yes.
Was incredible. There is the Nebbie, sang by Pavarotti, cantata da Pavarotti. You tape in YouTube, and come si chiama? Levine accompanied. It's fantastico. But our soprano was very
Brava.
expressive. And also the violinist, our Salerni.
Eric Salerni.
Great. Molto temperamento. Bravo.
If we don't have any, please, yes. The microphone, just 1 second, so it's going to be recorded.
I believe the microphone.
Actually, the only remaining classical radio station in New York, WQXR, plays Respighi music pretty frequently. And so when I look at the playlist, I enjoy researching the composers that they have. So you can hear Respighi fairly frequently on WQXR.
Thank you. And it's a great station.
Well, it's the only
Yes,
station.
yes.
It's great and the only one.
If we don't have any other question, I think we should thank the people that performed for us, including Maestro Attardi, Elisa De Luigi, Shelén, and Eric. Thank you very much for giving us this precious gift. And as you heard, there is another book in the making on Elisa Respighi, and of course you're already invited to come out and talk about the second life of Respighi incarnated in his wife, with whom he had this very special relationship. Thank you all again very much. Viva Respighi.